Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here with Droid Life. So we've still got the LG V30 in hand, and we've already unboxed it and given you the first 10 things we think you should do. But as we continue on this journey to hopefully help you get the most out of your brand new phone, we've got even more. So let's do this. Let's give you 20 plus tips and tricks for the LG V30. So unlike that first 10 things video where we talked a little bit more in depth about each thing, this one we're just going to try to hammer through these as quickly as possible and hopefully not have you here all day. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is double tap to wake and double tap to sleep. So that's a double tap, a double tap, a double tap. You guys get that. If you just want to check notifications, whatever, you can just double tap and that'll wake that. Double tap it, it'll go back to sleep. Next thing I would say is that fingerprint reader. Yes, again, I'm reminding you, go ahead and set up fingerprints. I use the 2 index fingers. Those give me the easiest and quickest path to waking and unlocking my device. Now, if you want to jump beyond that, I would say jump into settings, scroll all the way down, and first of all, set up those fingerprint and security. That's where you're going to find all your fingerprint settings. Hit that there. You're going to have to install, say, a lock screen like a pattern or PIN or password. Once you do that, then jump into fingerprint and you can add as many as you want. Again, I do the first 2. From there, though, we're going to continue on and go into lock screen. So lock screen, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can set up with the V30. Not only can you do a password, pattern, or PIN lock screen with that fingerprint reader, you can also do face recognition and voice recognition. You can also do smart lock, which allows you to bypass your lock screen if you're in, say, a specific location, if the phone detects that it's on you or just listens to your voice. Face recognition is actually pretty good. Voice recognition also actually pretty good. That's a custom phrase you can do to wake your phone or even unlock it. Face recognition obviously recognizes your face and then unlocks. You can have all of these on. So if we go ahead and look at screen lock and I go in here and you scroll down, look at this. You can have all of these on: finger, face, voice. You may as well turn them all on. They're all in there. I'm not going to walk through that. I've done most of that in the first 10 things, but that's exactly where you'll find them. So if we jump back out, I will also point out that from that lock screen, you do have always on display. You may as well turn that on. It gives you clock, date, also shows notifications you have pending, and even your battery status. Now, if you want to find this, you also jump into settings and go into display. And then if we scroll down, we should see always on display. It may be off out of the box. You can turn that on. It's pretty easy to do. There are some things you can customize here, like a brighter display, or you can even have it time out in case you want it to be less bright at night. Either way, always on display is just one of those things you may as well take advantage of. From there, we're going to head back home and start setting up home screen stuff. So to do that, you just long press up here in space and you'll get to all of your settings. So it gives you a zoomed out view of all the different pages you may have set up. You can remove apps, remove widgets, all that sort of thing. If you want to add things or tweak other settings, you'll find those options down here. There's your widgets if you want to add some widgets. There's your wallpaper if you want to change your wallpaper. There's a theme if you want to change your theme. There's a grid which would adjust the number of rows and columns. And then there's some home screen settings over here. So if we tap into that, this is where you get to decide what kind of home screen layout you want. So the top one is just all apps spread out across a whole bunch of pages and is pretty obnoxious if you don't mind me saying. The second one is an actual app drawer, which is the one I have set up. There's also an easy home, which is just the basic of basic setups. And then if you have third-party launchers installed, you will see those listed as well, and you can choose those from here. I highly recommend you install one of those. But if we go back here, you'll see some other things like wallpaper motion is an option you may want to enable. So with it off, you just kind of have a flat wallpaper. With it on, it actually gives some motion to your phone as you tilt it and turn it and move it around. It's kind of a cool effect. You'll also find themes in here and swipe effects. Like swipe effects, every time you swipe between your one page to the next, you get a different effect if that's something you're into. Your theme in here. So this is the Verizon version. The Verizon apparently took out LG's Smart World app, which has downloadable themes. So you won't find any on this Verizon version. If you have another version of the V30, which you likely do, you'll actually have a little download button up here that allows you to download additional themes. But if you want to use one of these, you just tap on it, gives you a preview of it. You can hit apply, and then you can change your theme up. There are ways to sideload the LG Smart World app. If you want additional themes, you do have the Verizon version. I highly recommend searching that out. Some other things you can change here, those left of your home screen. So there is a smart bulletin, which is LG's sort of smart app. On this Verizon version, there's also a thing called App Flash, which you can choose from, and you shouldn't choose from because it's just a glorified app and you can uninstall it. And I highly recommend you do, but that is on there as well. You can also have your home screen loop. So if you flip through it, it just kind of keeps flipping through it instead of having to go to one end and back to the other. You get it. There's a whole bunch of settings in here. Feel free to jump in there and play with stuff. One thing I would point out is if you're in certain apps, this is the next tip, by the way, down here in this bottom left-hand corner, you will see a hide navigation bar option. So it's this little mini triangle and you can just tap that and it drops the navigation bar. Then kind of a swipe up brings that back. It's just like you guys have seen this on Samsung phones, but LG has it as well. So you can hide that, make it show, and you can do that on an app by app basis. Just something to be aware of. Next thing I would say is make sure you're using Google Assistant. So Google Assistant is a long press on the home button that launches Google Assistant. You can ask it about the weather and all that sort of stuff, right? So Google Assistant, long press, you're gonna have to train your voice and do all of that stuff. Make sure you set that up. Google Assistant is one of the most powerful tools we've seen on a smartphone, and especially Android phones in some time. Make sure the Google Assistant is ready to rock. Multi-window. So if we open up, let's say Chrome, we'll just have that open. If you want to launch multiple apps at the same time, open one that you want and then long press on the app switcher, and that will fire you up into a top portion of the app you had active, and then it'll let you scroll through some other things down here in order to find another app to use. So maybe you want to watch a YouTube video as you're in Chrome, or let's say maybe you want to have Chrome open and use something like Twitter, or you want to find a gallery photo or something like that. You can do that here. This bar here lets you swipe up and down to sort of adjust some of that. If you want to get rid of everything, you just swipe down and that goes back to a full screen menu. Next thing I would say is let's set up the notification shade. So notification shade, swipe down here. And when I say that, I mean these areas up here. So as you'll notice with that first swipe down, you have 6 icon shortcuts. I would say swipe this down, tap the edit button, and then drag and drop these into the order you want so that at least your first 6 is customized, because when you swipe this down one time, those are the first 6 you see. They are your best shortcuts. You can page over and to see other settings, things like that, but basically that edit button gets you into there. Of course, with that one swipe down, you do have a brightness slider. You may want to leave that on auto, but even on auto, you can still adjust this to your liking manually, and it'll sort of adjust from there. Just another quick little tip there. The next thing I would show you is how to launch the camera. So the quickest way is pull the phone out of your pocket and double tap the volume down button, and that will launch the camera. And then you can fire off shots, jump between the 2 different shooters, that sort of thing. That gets you into the camera. There's a whole bunch of settings in here you may want to tweak. Tap that button here. I would adjust your video to 4K if that's your thing. You can turn the camera roll off or on. In terms of other settings, the bottom shutter button is actually a zoom slider that you can use to zoom in and out of things. Keep that in mind as well. All right, so the next thing I would say is we're going to jump back into this notification slider, and do not disturb. This is one of those modes I always suggest you turn on. I'm not going to walk you through how to do that, but basically what you do is set up a schedule and you tweak it to the time you need to turn on and back off again. So it's an automated thing that essentially allows you to sleep without getting bugged. You can, of course, allow people to call through your do not disturb, like your favorite contacts, family members, that sort of thing. Anyway, all that setting is going to be found in here, and the shortcut to that is just long pressing on the do not disturb shortcut up top there. The next thing I would say then is back in this area. If you swipe over, my quad DAC icon is right there. So this phone does have a quad DAC, so audio files. This is the phone for you. And in order to activate that, all you do is plug in headphones. You can see that fire up. If you want to get into some settings there, you do long press on that, and then you'll have your quad DAC settings. You can adjust left and right audio, set up presets, digital filters, that sort of thing. You can even control volume in here, or just toggle that thing on and off in case it's not really your cup of tea. Either way, this is your quad DAC, and that is the quickest way to get to those settings, is right up there. All right, the next thing I'll show you then, staying in here, is comfort view. So comfort view, I'm just going to long press on that, but comfort view is a blue light filter that allows your eyes to be eased at night. So you can see when I turn it on, it's sort of this weird orangish warm color. It's a good night mode thing. So I have mine scheduled to come on at night once it gets dark, so that I'm laying in bed or a dark room or something like that. It's on, and it adjusts and sort of relaxes my eyes before I go to bed. Anyway, set it and forget it. And again, there is a shortcut up top there that you may want to just reach for. All right, so let's jump into full settings though and go back into display settings if I can find those. So display settings in here, if we scroll down a little bit, there's actually a whole bunch of stuff you may want to tweak in here, like app scaling, adjust the way apps scale to this really long 2:1 ratioed phone. You can set up the display size on here as well, so you can make your icons look bigger, smaller, however you want to do it. These are essentially adjustments to make the display show for you specifically. But one thing you may want to look at is screen color. So in here, it's set as normal, and these are sort of different presets for the way colors show on your phone. I'm just going to leave mine as normal, but you can see there's ones for movies, photos, and the web. This one is kind of cool though. It's an advanced video color. Now it was off out of the box for me on this Verizon version, but if you turn that on, you should just get a more vivid, better looking picture if you're watching full screen videos. So it's kind of hidden down here at the bottom. But I would definitely say take a look at that and just see what you like in terms of video. So if we jump over here, there should be a section called mini view. So mini view, you can have it on or off. It may be off out of the box. But what mini view allows you to do, because this is a bigger phone, is swipe across the bottom of your navigation bar and then get a one-handed mode. So I'll show you that again. If I'm holding this in one hand and maybe I can't quite reach up to the notification area, I can just swipe across the bottom there, and then now I can. So see that? I'm doing that now with one hand, and then to get back out of there, there's just an X. And you can swipe that way to make it a left-handed version as well. And that is called mini view. Again, mini view. All right, so let's back out of there. There is a thing called the floating bar with this phone. Now, the floating bar takes place of the old ticker display you used to find up here in the LG V10 and V20. It's now a virtual floating bar, and you can drag this thing around, move it from side to side, all of that. But anyway, the settings in it are in settings, floating bar, and from here you can tweak some things like the shortcuts that show up on it. You can manage about 5 of those. You can also have your screen capture shortcuts on there, your music player shortcuts on there, and even your quick contacts in case you want to have favorite contacts on there. You can adjust some position things like being able to move it from left to right, or you can keep it pinned on the right or left, or maybe just keep it pinned in that specific position. Those things are all there as well. But when you swipe this out, you can then swipe between these things to jump into stuff. So like I have a calculator shortcut there in case I need to calculate things all the time. But there's also a note shortcut in there, or there's a calendar shortcut, or you can even have it do a selfie mode. There's your media controls. And then this stuff is just sort of screenshot stuff, capture stuff, GIF stuff. In case you're watching, say, a YouTube video and want to create a fun little GIF out of it, that is the tool to do that. And you find that in the floating bar. I'm not a huge fan of some of these floating apps, but this one actually is pretty convenient. If you do want to get rid of it, you can just slide it all the way down here, and you'll notice that a little remove button comes up, and then you just slide that. Well, it's supposed to work that way, and then that will make it go away. It is not working, as you can see, but that is technically how that does that. If we jump back in here, one of those things I really like about LG's phones, and this phone in particular has a special vibration motor, so you'll notice around when you're touching things in the phone and swiping away notifications, you just get these little subtle vibrations that are really cool. But this phone also does vibration strength, and so you can adjust the vibration strength of everything. Now you notice out of the box everything is pretty cranked up, so when a notification rolls in, your phone really vibrates, your desk or whatever, you can actually adjust those down. You can adjust the vibrate on tap and of course the incoming call. I've tweaked those, but you just may want to tweak those to your liking in case one of them is sort of being a little extra obnoxious. The next thing I'll show you is this smart cleaning feature. It's kind of like an app killer or a task killer or something like that, but it may be worth just looking at here or there, maybe once a month or something like that. But it tells you your internal storage use and your memory use. Now, if you tap optimize phone, what it'll try to do is clean up excess things being used in storage that you may not need. And this will just clear through your memory to try to speed up your phone and things like that. You also have a shortcut to your battery usage meter here as well, and the battery saver settings in case those are something you want to tweak. If you're running low on battery, you may not be able to make it to an outlet in a while. All right, so the next thing I would show you then is Capture Plus. Now, I don't use this awesome, but Capture Plus, there is a shortcut there. And if your phone is off and you double tap the volume up button, I believe, or is that a long press? As you can see, I don't ever use this shortcut. There we go. And that allows you to then quickly create a draw, a memo, a picture, whatever you want to do. That's just the quickest way to do that. And again, there's also a version up here where you can tap on it, and that'll get you into a way. It's just a quick way to maybe write a note down, jot something down, draw a picture if you're bored, that sort of thing. And then finally, the last thing I will show you, and it has to do with that one, is how to take a screenshot. So it's a little bit awkward on LG devices because your power button is back here, but power and volume down, once again, takes a screenshot just like it does on every single Android phone at this point, including Samsung phones. So again, that's hold power and volume down at the same time for a couple seconds till it flashes and gives you that preview. And that's pretty much it. So again, that was probably more than 20 plus tips or tricks, but that should really get you on the way to getting the most out of your LG V30. We are Droid Life. Peace.